welcome to the Amigo CartCast, the podcast where we roll through the ins and outs of material handling with Amigo carts. I'm your host, Samantha Taylor, here with my co-host, Scott Chappell, and we're on a mission to find a better way for material handling.
Thank you, Samantha. Each episode will explore the innovative features, success stories, and the endless possibilities that Amigo material handling carts bring to the table. Let's roll into a world of efficiency, innovation, and endless possibilities. This is the Amigo CartCast.
Welcome to another episode of the Amigo CartCast. Today, we're going to talk about the unsung hero in pretty much any organization. And what we are going to talk about is specifically maintenance workers, maintenance crew. So I have Scott here who's going to help kind of guide this story and share some solutions on what we've seen. But Scott, I want you to open it up and tell me what you've seen in facilities when you're out traveling and doing demos. What currently does that maintenance application look like?
So, it just depends on the size of the facility. There are facilities that are smaller that people walk and push their toolboxes around in. There are facilities where people use golf carts. There are facilities where folks use larger equipment, kind of like a Taylor Dunn, which is kind of like a sit-down four-wheel, kind of a mini car. And then there's a lot of facilities, even in 2024, that are using tricycles for their maintenance staff. They have a basket on them, so that's what they carry their tools in.
What about a unicycle? Have you ever seen that?
If you could get the unicycle past safety, I'm sure we could probably do it.
I'm sure.
A unicycle, really?
Well, I'm just trying to picture of all the different applications. There's so many variety ways to make sure that your maintenance crew is working efficiently. And it's a very necessary part of any organization. You think of you look at a manufacturer setting and they need to get equipment fixed. Well, who's going to do that other than maybe the equipment specialists or the maintenance crew? And they have to be able to efficiently carry their tools around and get there quickly. So I was just thinking maybe they're the circus and they ride unicycles. I don't know.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because when it comes to maintenance, I think you are right when you said unsung. And I think everybody assumes in a facility that it's just somebody's going to fix it, right? Like whether it's IT and my computer doesn't work right, and even though it's been down for 3 minutes, it seems like it's 30 minutes. So when you say maintenance, it could be, I think there's two sides of that. There are maintenance people that handle the building, and then there's maintenance people that are trying to repair a machine that's manufacturing something that shuts down their production line. So I think any way you slice it, those folks probably have to get around fairly fast or faster than just walking. And I think that's where maybe our products could help.
Yeah, I think that there's probably a couple scenarios that you could share of where we've seen not only what the problem is, but how we've been able to create a solution for that specific workforce.
I guess all I wanted to start out with is products, right? And not that we're here to try to sell products, but what we've seen when we're out, when we're demonstrating, and that is bigger products, heavier products, tricycles, and then that's where our products could be an alternative. Now, let me just mention a couple things. Bigger products are more expensive. Tricycles, believe it or not, I've been told could be $1,200-$1,500 for a tricycle, which seems like a lot. But the other thing about tricycles are a lot of them have air tires. And not only are the maintenance people fixing everything in the building, but they're replacing tubes and tires. And this is just what people tell us. It's when we go in, they go, hey, oh, by the way, this is what we use. And it's a pain in our butt if it's not working properly.
All right, so Scott, you shared some of the different applications or products that you've seen out there. But before we even maybe discuss that further, I want to talk about the individuals who are using them. This doesn't sound aging to me, but if you look up the average age for a maintenance application, it's 45. So you start thinking about too that it's a very physical and strenuous job in most cases. And if they've been doing that for their entire career, you want to also think about what is some satisfaction. What is their satisfaction in their job and what they're doing? And it's important to make sure that they are able to move their product or their tools around efficiently and get to different places to do their job as it requires and not feel drained. So I know you've been in a variety of facilities. Can you share, I guess, what you see? Not only you shared a little bit of the products, but maybe the type of people that are using them, and what is your recommendation in that case?
So it's funny you mentioned that because I guess that what I want to kind of say before we get there is these are just things we see. We don't know this until we go in the back door and we actually see what a facility looks like. So whether it's 200,000 or 500,000 or believe it or not, 1 million square feet, the larger facility you get into, normally the more steps people take and possibly the more expensive equipment that they buy. So in those specific cases, you have sometimes maintenance folks that are just pushing tool carts around. So you can imagine
Tools are
if
heavy.
oh
You get a workout in.
I will tell you they say toolboxes sometimes they're on wheels of course, but they're like 300 to 500 pounds. That's a lot. So you take a 300 to 500 pound toolbox and you've got to push it, even if it's, we always throw these big numbers around, even if it's 100,000, right? That's probably a pretty big area, right? That's a lot of steps. I've been in facilities where people say our maintenance folks walk 30,000 steps a day. Now, there's going to be people listening to this podcast that go, man, great, they're going to stay in great shape. I get that. But the other side, and people tell us this, is that their employees get fatigued. They're probably not so happy on a hot day that they have to walk 30,000 steps, right? So
with
there's some
300 pounds.
well, 300 pushing 300 to 500
Mhm.
pounds. Exactly. And then the other side, so there's some satisfaction there. And the other side of that is it's just an efficiency thing. So for example, if one corner to the other corner is a 6-minute walk, how can we make that walk quicker and less steps for that worker? The other thing is when people forget tools. Now, you would think a maintenance person knows exactly what they're doing, where they're doing, and all that. And I'm sure they do. But what happens if they need another tool? And their shop is in the far southeast corner of the facility. Now they've got to go back. When they go back, how long does that take? Do they stop, get a cup of coffee? Do they
Take a
talk?
bathroom break because they just had coffee.
There you go. Do
Uh-huh.
they talk to a buddy about yesterday's game, the playoffs? And hopefully people that are listening kind of go shake their head. Yeah, we see that. So it's possible our products could make that whole process smoother, more efficient, easier on the employee, and less costly for the facility.
I think about too, one of our previous episodes with Tim, we had talked about employee satisfaction and retention specifically. And this kind of ties in nicely when you think about the maintenance work and what these individuals are doing. It's important to, make sure that they're getting to their job efficiently and long term. I would think that that translates to employee retention because they're going to be able to move those heavy tools around and not, to your point, like on a hot day, feel like it's totally burnt out from what they have to do. So I think it kind of all ties in really nicely to just employee satisfaction in general.
I think if you're a maintenance person, there's a couple different things at play here. One is maybe the physical, the toll it takes on you physically. I think the other thing is, and I believe everybody's going to say this, is when something breaks, somebody's not happy. So who bears the brunt of that? It might be the maintenance person. So not only are they huffing and puffing,
Mm-hmm.
now they've got unhappy people,
Yeah,
and
they have
they're
to do it
like,
with a smile.
I have no idea what the retention is of maintenance people.
That-
And if we Googled it,
Should we
but
Google it?
I don't know, we maybe should, but I'm just saying, I don't know what the retention is. So once again, this might be a small, inexpensive way to improve satisfaction and efficiency. I don't know the polite way to say it, but do you pay people to walk or do you pay people to work? And I just think if you look at it that way, these larger facilities with their maintenance folks, they're just going to try to find a better way for them to do their job.
I don't know, Scott. You're sounding kind of high maintenance.
I thought the only high maintenance one here was you.
Oh.
So through some of these facilities that we've been in, we go in and they throw things at us like we've got a 65-year-old maintenance person that just came back from a hip replacement or a knee replacement, and we want to help them get around easier. They look at our products as a inexpensive way that might get Joe or John or Bill or
Or Susie.
Susie.
Yes,
I was
thank
thinking
you.
that too.
Mind reader.
From A to B quicker and gets them back to work. That's one thing. The other side of that is they have a specific application. So, for example, they do fire extinguisher preventative maintenance. And until I heard this story, I'm thinking, what's the big deal about that? Well, all of those fire extinguishers have to be checked because they have to be up to date to be used in case of a fire.
It's important.
I know at our facility, we've got over 100 and we're not that big. So you can imagine if you have 750,000, 500,000 square feet. So we had a customer reach out and say, we want to use a product to zip right to every fire extinguisher and get it done. I don't know what their maintenance schedule is, if they have to do it monthly, weekly, quarterly, or whatever it is there. And then we've actually had people that say, we want to put our maintenance folks' toolboxes on some kind of a motorized cart. And then that's where some of our other products come into play as well.
And I have heard too, specifically with our products, because they are so user friendly. So I know sometimes depending on the size of the facility, but you don't always have the same person that might be using the cart. So it could be a variety of users, and you want to make sure that the training is very easy and it's easy to use, so that basically anybody could either ride it or do our Max Pro, which is the push behind for this application.
Oh, most definitely. And you know that how simple and easy is it to use these products? That's kind of why we created a stand-up product, is because you're on and you're off that fast because it's about 2.5 inches off the ground. It's not like, and it might not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but if you're sitting and you've got to stand and then sit and move and go somewhere else, another 10, 20 feet and stand again, that does take some toll on folks. So the ease of use, forward and backwards, on and off, those are just some nice things that our products do that just kind of play into this.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't really think about it until the solution's put right in front of you. And it's like we were very intentional with that design of standing for that on-off ease application. And also, I know we've talked about this previously, but just from a safety standpoint, to be able to have a clear sight view, no matter the size of the facility, you're able to, you're not sitting, you're not low to the ground, you can see your surroundings. We offer other safety features as well. And I think that's important. So what would you recommend if somebody wants to see our product and hear our solutions? Where should they go to get that information?
Well, they've got a couple different things they can do. I mean, they could hit our website and send us a quick note, but we sell these products through local distribution, local dealers. So the nice thing about that is if they've got other industrial equipment in their facility, they can just get a hold of whoever they have a relationship with and just say, hey, we'd like to see these Amigo material handling carts. Can we get an on-site demo? Now, our Amigo Road Show is definitely the way we love to show our products, because we'll bring them to a facility and then we'll show multiple people how they all work. And normally you kind of get a bunch of people that start asking questions, and you never know where it's going to end up.
Yeah, I love that. Scott, I would love to hear before we go, if you have a
Are you kidding me? You're going to have me
talk
have
again.
another story?
Another story. I
Oh
want to hear
my
a specific
gosh.
application on your favorite, if you can narrow it down to one,
Oh,
of your
there's
maintenance
so many.
application for our Amigo material handling carts.
So many. I would just tell you there is a company on the East Coast, and they do skin care, hair care, all those kind of products.
Oh, right up my alley.
Exactly. And your hair looks lovely today,
Oh,
by the
thank
way.
you.
You're welcome. But what they had is they had a facility that was 500,000 to 700,000 square feet, and they were looking. Once again, we don't know everything that goes on in there, but if it was employee satisfaction, if they had somebody that just wasn't getting around or what, but they were looking for another way for their maintenance folks to move their toolboxes around. So they sent us a picture, which was great because a picture's worth 1,000 words. And on the picture, they had our Dex Pro Plus. And on that machine, on the back of that machine, there's a trailer. It's a 30 by 50 trailer. And on the trailer, they had a toolbox mounted. They had totes. They had actually tools, wrenches and Allen wrenches for all the you folks that know that out there. But they had Allen wrenches that were hanging off our bars that they actually made these brackets for. So the beautiful thing about it was they had a need, they had an application. They looked at our products and they felt it was a solution. They bought one. And then they fitted it up with all the tools, all the totes, all of the boxes on it in this large facility. And they didn't only buy one, but they ended up buying two more after that, specifically for their maintenance folks. Now, let me just one last little tidbit is every major trade show we go to, this company's people come to our booth and they always stop and say hi, and we ask them, how is it going? And they go, it's great. It's working well. So once again, a company out there that had an application, we ended up having the solution. It worked well. They bought more and, another satisfied customer.
Scott, that story sounds really cool. You know what would make it even better? If we could share with our listeners that picture.
Oh,
do you think you have one?
We have it. I don't believe, Samantha, we can share names.
Sure.
But there's no name on this picture. But it's definitely, once they see it, they will get it because it shows everything I just mentioned.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll put that up on our podcast web page so our listeners can take a look at it.
Perfect.
Awesome.
I didn't know we could do that.
Our producer does everything.
Oh, I got you. Okay, good.
In conclusion, I think we need a big shout out to our unsung heroes, our maintenance folks. Thank you for all that you do. Scott, thank you for sharing this information and kind of how the Amigo material handling carts maybe can fit into different applications. And thank you all for listening to this episode of the Amigo CartCast. Until next time, keep it rolling. And that wraps up another episode of the Amigo CartCast. We hope you enjoy this exploration into finding a better way for material handling with Amigo carts. Be sure to subscribe as well as go to myamigo.com/podcast to see pictures and videos mentioned in today's episode.
Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep rolling with Amigo.
Until next time,
keep it rolling.
Keep it rolling.